be honest, when I saw a copy of Killzone 3 show up on my doorstep a few weeks back, I was giddy like a kid in a candy store. Now, I hadn't played any of the previous titles, so I didn't know exactly what to expect, so I had to do some research on the story and the gameplay to get a feel for this bad boy. Regardless, I had an amazing time playing through this, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. Releasing on February 22nd for the PlayStation 3, here's Guerilla Games and Sony Computer Entertainment's latest sci-fi first-person shooter, Killzone 3.
My people, sons and daughters of Helghan, on this day, as our enemy ships burn away in orbit, as our bodies lie broken in our streets, we are once again reminded of the depths of their depravity.
The story picks up immediately where Killzone 2 finished. Visari was just executed by Rico, and the remainder of the Helghast ships have arrived to fight off the invading ISA. Once again, you play as Sergeant Thomas Sevchenko, fighting primarily on planet Helghan, though this time in several harsh environments including a jungle and an Arctic wasteland, instead of just the capital city of Pyrrhus. With the death of their king, the remaining leaders of Helghast struggle with each other to determine who will lead their people and fend off the invading ISA forces. The events that take place unfold over a 6-month period of time, where we see our characters evolve with a more heartfelt story than was presented in the previous titles. Primarily, the story revolves around the ISA forces escaping Helghan, while the struggling leaders of the Helghast come up with a diabolical plan to get their feet back on the ground. Sev and Rico find out about the plan and have to go through hell and back to ensure they're able to pass this information on to their leaders. Overall, I found the story to be quite moving, and I loved every second of it. I especially enjoyed the ending that potentially foreshadows a sequel and kind of strikes an emotional nerve.
Father.
Killzone 3's campaign took me 7.5 hours to complete its 9 chapters on the medium difficulty setting. If you don't feel like tackling the adventure alone, you can pair up with a buddy for some sweet split-screen co-op action as well. But as with all shooters, the core audience of the game wants to know about the multiplayer features. Clan support is fully supported right in the game, and players who want to practice offline before the matches can set up custom bot matches to perfect their noob-dropping skills. There are several game types built in, including a standard team deathmatch mode and the return of Warzone, which randomly selects a series of game types to play through in succession on the same map. Warzone will mix it up with assassination, search and retrieve, search and destroy, body count, and capture and hold game types. There's also a game type called Operations, which is similar to the latest Medal of Honor's combat mission, where you're presented with a story-based series of missions where the ISA invade Helghast. There are several classes to choose from online, including the turret building engineer, the stealth marksman, the team player tactician, the deceptive infiltrator, and the save the day medic. As you play online, you'll gain points based on your performance that are used to unlock additional weapons and special abilities. Certain ranks also unlock upgrades to all classes, including better armor and additional ammunition. By combining the different classes with a nice selection of game types, I'd say you've got a great amount of replayability on your hands, all with the support of up to 24 players at once. Finally, Killzone 3 is the first shooter I've played to incorporate the PlayStation Move controller. It took me a while to get it calibrated correctly, as I had to go into the console settings to disable some magnetic sensor so that it would react properly, but overall I still didn't find it to be precise enough. It's a cool concept, but I still think it needs a little work.
Victory was just out of reach. Keep your faith and do your duty in the next fight.
From start to finish and beyond in the multiplayer, I greatly enjoyed every second I played of Killzone 3. You're always presented with something new to do, and the campaign never gets stale as there's a great mission variety, including all-out war with tons of units on the screen, to stealth missions that utilize the game's new brutal melee system, to sniper missions, to several different vehicle missions. I particularly enjoyed the mission where I got to hop into a mech suit and decimate entire armies as I cleared the way for the remaining ISA forces to make their way to the rescue ships. Several new weapons were added to the game, including the uber-powerful arc cannon that charges blasts of petricite to completely blow up multiple enemies that get anywhere near the beam. A bolt gun was added that shoots bolts that explode on impact, and there's even a jetpack that allows you to fly for short periods of time, all while delivering powerful rounds from the built-in machine gun. While the campaign can get pretty difficult at times, and I found myself dying rather frequently, especially near the end, as long as you have an ally with you close by, they can revive your gimped ass if you take too much damage. That keeps the game's pace moving. A neat lean cover mechanic allows you to fire off rounds without worrying about taking a bunch of damage, and unlike another game I've played recently, it actually works quite well. Finally, there's a neat mechanic that utilizes the 6-axis controller while you interact with objects like bombs and wheels. By pressing the right button and turning the controller, you can arm the bomb and turn wheels to open doors and create diversions. I found this to be a cool yet extremely simple feature. Overall, the gameplay is just fun, and talking about it makes me want to get back at it and start killing some Hellghast.
That's one! Good shooting! All units!
If you haven't noticed by now, the graphics of Killzone 3 are breathtaking. The environments that you battle through are beautiful, and the light effects are, in my opinion, the feature that really sets the game apart from the others. I've read that this title takes up something like 40 gigs of space on the Blu-ray, and I've got to imagine that it's all the kick-ass cutscenes that you'll watch before and after each mission. Seriously, there's a ton of these, and they're lengthy. They look really cool, and they are actually entertaining to watch. I think I just really like the creative design of Hellghast, and all the vehicles and technology the developers have created for this world. For the most part, the game runs perfectly smooth with no drops in frames and no screen tearing whatsoever, but there was one portion of a mission in particular that has a pretty noticeable frame drop for a few minutes until you complete it. But I'm willing to live with that considering the remainder of the game and its online play runs great. The soundtrack to the title to me had a really strong John Williams feel to it, and I thoroughly enjoyed listening to it, as it perfectly accompanied what was going on in the game's missions. Now, I read that the dialogue was going to be toned down a bit to remove much of the profanity that was in Killzone 2, but if they did, I can't imagine how much the previous title had in it because every few lines someone's throwing out some F-bombs.
Sergeant Velasquez, are you too stupid to follow a direct order to shut the fuck up?
Don't get me wrong though, I like racy dialogue. The cast was also supplemented with several Hollywood actors, including Malcolm McDowell and Ray Winstone, which was a nice touch for the supporting roles that they played.
Given the Admiral's continued failure to eradicate the ISA, I motion that the Helgan military be turned over to someone who will use it more effectively.
Well, I had a wonderful time playing through this bastard. Now, I feel bad that I never got to experience the first two games because I'm in love with the story and the creative universe that Killzone takes place in. For those of you looking to move on from Call of Duty or Medal of Honor, I can think of no better title right now to jump into. I just can't wait for the real fanbase to actually get into these online games so I've got some more people to play against. So I say to Sony, screw the beta, just release this thing already. It's great and the public needs to play it. What are your thoughts? Leave your questions and comments below. Check out the full write-up and screenshots over at ZeitgeistGameReview.com. Stay up to date by following me on Twitter and Facebook, and make sure to check out all of the other great gaming entertainment on the Game Station. Don't forget to subscribe and press the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching.